Yeah.
Yeah, what show? This is Garden Gossip, right?
Garden Gossip.
Okay, videos rolling, audio in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Jeremiah Show. Got a really great show for you today. I've also got a special guest sitting next to me, Mr. Will Knox. He's Mr. Restaurant, and just did a really fabulous show. Who did you just have on, Mr. Restaurant?
You drink too much.
It's not 5 o'clock here. Yeah, or not enough, right?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Who did I have on my show? I had a wonderful guest, Larry Lorenzo Nicola, who operates a joint. I call it a joint. It's a spot in Ojai, California called Ojai Roti. And Larry is full of stories, and he's got a great storied history in LA as a restaurateur. And it was really a wonderful show, and great that he was able to allow me in to his space.
Yeah, I sat in on the studio here and listened. That was a really fascinating interview. Good job, you.
Thank you.
And so that was the first hour. So that will be posted anywhere you get your podcast. It's also going to air tonight on radio. So
I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to that. Tell us a little bit about, people may or may not know, this is sort of a new show, a new segment that will eventually totally take off from the Jeremiah Show. But at Mr. Restaurant, you joined the Jeremiah Show as a co-host, basically, and you're bringing some new programming to us. So what is the show all about?
Well, for years, I'd contemplated doing my own radio show that would be an exploration into the restaurant business. I come from restaurant real estate. I've been a restaurant broker. I've been an operator myself. And I've always contemplated the idea of, there should be a show, not food, but really contemplating more. I'm contemplating. Anyway, just the idea. A thought. I had thought that there was a void about the business of restaurants, and I love radio, and I love people, and I love restaurants. So I thought, let's do it. And then you gave me the opportunity to come up with something. And my son, who's a branding guy, he came up with the name Mr. Restaurant. Dad, you ought to call yourself Mr. Restaurant. So that's how that started. He even did the logo behind me, and it's cool. And we've had guests, Bob Spivak, Warner Ebbink. Warner has Little Doms in LA. Bob Spivak started the Grill on the Alley. I've had Josh Loeb and Zoe Nathan, who have a big popular restaurant now called the Duchess in Ojai. I've had a couple of guys that started a concept in Ojai called Pinion, and that's wood-fired pizza. And then Larry came on, and now I've got upcoming Bob of Bob's Well Bread up in Los Alamos. I've got Ruth Reichel slated to be on the show next week. Susan Feniger of the Border Grill. So I'm attracting people that want to talk about the business of restaurants, not necessarily just the cuisine. So that's my fortunate lot in life, and here we are. So, Mr. Restaurant.
Yeah, and you got to tune in. They're really, really interesting, fascinating conversations with some of the biggest names in the world of food and hospitality and restaurants. So, well, welcome. We're so happy to have you to doing this with us.
I hope to grow it with you, and I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, Mr. Restaurant, check it out anywhere you get your podcast and on the radio. So I'm going to say goodbye to you now, Doug.
See you in the grotto later.
See you in the grotto.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy happy hour.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, it's great to have Mr. Restaurant join the show, huh, Dr. D? Some pretty cool shows he's put out there, and some really big names. So, I mean, honestly, if you want to know some of your favorite restaurants, some of the biggest brands in the world, some of the biggest celebrity chefs, he's got them all. He finds their iconic locations, which I just think is so cool. From Luke's, Suzanne Goen, to Spago, Wolfgang's classic Spago on Sunset. That was his very first restaurant.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, he's got a bunch of great restaurants that he's opened up that we all have come to love over the years. I got a very special guest on today. It's taken us a few attempts to get him on. That's how good he is, and his band. They're the Hollywood Allstars. Steve Gaspár is my very special guest, and he's coming up in just a moment. He's on the East Coast tonight, so it's a little bit later for him, and I really appreciate that he's hanging out with us basically during happy hour on the East Coast.
So,
I won't judge if he wants to have a martini while he does this interview. But first up, I wanted to talk about some exciting things that are happening today. Of course, is Cinco de Mayo.
That's right.
And so happy Cinco de Mayo to everyone there. We've got, our good friends, my chef Jeremy Tummel at La Paloma want you to come down on their garden patio tonight. He's got a fish of the day taco special. Ooh. And he's got a famous margarita or mezcal flights and live music, Dr. D. But I tried to get a friend in there, just actually Mr. Restaurant, and it's packed. So it's booked for tables, but I think you can still get down there and get $8 margaritas for happy hour from 5 to 6:30. And El Carmen, I wondered, Steve, are you familiar with El Carmen in LA?
I am not. You'll have to enlighten me.
I call it a dive bar, but it's a classic, man. It's like the wrestler, old El Carmen. It's just a classic in LA. They're celebrating their 25th anniversary today on Cinco de Mayo, and Sean McPherson has a historic tequila bar and taqueria, festival of cocktails and tacos. I'm getting hungry right now thinking about it and thinking about the
hungry and thirsty.
Yeah, I'm hungry and thirsty. I don't know which way to go. Both of them sound pretty good. All right, last thing I wanted to mention, Mother's Day is on Sunday, right? Well,
correct.
The Los Angeles Guiltinis. Have you heard of these guys? They're a major league rugby team. They're actually our Los Angeles Guiltinis. Have you been to a rugby match ever, Steve?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Oh my God, we got to hang out, I think. Well, as you guys know, I executive produce the Sports Lounge with Big Lou, and we are now the first radio partner with LA Guiltinis. They are the national champions. They're defending their they're defending their title this coming up. We've got a couple matches left in the season. This one's going to be a good one. It's actually on Mother's Day. So instead of getting in trouble with my mom, I invited her along. And everybody that works on the show, we invited their moms. So it's going to be a lot of moms at the LA Coliseum this week. And we're broadcasting from the Coliseum on Sunday. LA Guiltinis face their Austin cousins at 3 p.m. on May 8th. The LA Guiltinis will take on Austin Gilgronis at the historic Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Guiltinis Club field seats are now available. We're going to be down on what's called the fun pitch, I believe it's what it's called. And yes, let me find it. It's fun pitch. I'm calling it the fun pitch. And there's food. It's the fun zone. That's what it's called. Food and concessions. We're going to be down there. Come down and say hi to me and Big Lou, and a lot of special guests. We're going to talk to the players on the radio. It's be a lot of fun. So it's this Sunday. If you can get away from your mom and you don't get in too much trouble, come on down, sneak out for a couple hours, or just bring her. All right. I want to get to my special guest right now. Steve, thanks for being patient there while I had to mention some of our things that our good friends are doing out there right now. Steve Gaspár is my very special guest. Again, he is he's the music director. He's in charge of the Hollywood Allstars, and they have a new EP out. It's called Field of Grace, with a new single, which we're going to play in its entirety at the end of the show. We're going to premiere it here on the Jeremiah Show. And they've also got a tour. He's out on tour right now by the same name, Field of Grace. Welcome to the show, Steve. You've got such a big band and such a big sound, and it's so special. It's different. How would you describe the Hollywood Allstars?
Well, Jeremiah, first, thank you very much for being as flexible as you've been with me. I really, really do appreciate it. And I've been dying to come on and talk to you about this. The band, I kind of describe it as my traveling circus. It's ridiculous. In today's day and age, especially, getting a 3 or 4 piece band together is a little tricky, but 13 pieces is just stupid. But having said that, you get 13 people on stage with a full horn section and a real Hammond organ and some great singers, and there's nothing that gives you a chill like that. And it's been a passion project of mine, and I've been very fortunate to call in some favors with some really talented people, and it's been doing really well. It's been received very well so far.
Well, congratulations, by the way. You guys just got a record deal.
Yeah, and how silly is that in today's day and age? I mean, they're in rather short supply these days, you know?
Yeah, that's not heard of very much anymore.
It is. And I mean, everybody's doing everything on their own. And I mean, the thing that appealed to me about this, I mean, I was signed back in the day when, you know, there were black vinyl records. That's how old I am. I'm like a dinosaur in this business and have grown up through 8-track tapes and cassettes and CDs. But back in the day when you got a record deal, it really meant something. Today, you know, everybody, and, you know, happy Mother's Day, everybody's mother has a CD out now. We are promoting our CD. And how do you do that? I mean, really, the only venue is you bring them to your shows. You try to sell them at shows. You can put them up on Spotify and iTunes. But I have a very scary statistic for you, Jeremiah. Do you know how many singles are uploaded to the digital streaming platforms daily? Take a guess. Every day.
I have this figure actually because I'm working with someone that has the numbers for me, but I don't quite recall it. Maybe is it 1 million, 2 million?
Well, it's not quite that crazy. 60,000 songs are uploaded daily.
Wow.
Which means there are 60,000 artists are out there every day doing their thing, and God bless them all, trying to get something happening. And I mean, how do you determine which one of those songs, you know, will even get heard? So when this label thing came along, I thought how wonderful to have a team with me doing this. And that for me was the big appeal. Plus, I mean, they're a very interesting boutique label. They've got some classic rock artists from, you know, artists that played with Vanilla Fudge, John Entwistle from The Who. They have part of his catalog. And it's a really eclectic mix of artists. And they heard what we did and fell in love. And it was too good to say no. I couldn't say no.
Well, I think I'd still big hats off and congratulations. I think it still means a lot to get a record deal, especially these days, maybe even more than not. Right. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, if you use that statistic of 60,000 new songs are released on Spotify every single day, and then you think about how many these labels, how many submissions they must get. And you get to the top of the heap and you actually get a deal out of it. A lot has to happen. A lot has to go right. Hard work on your part to get that. So I think you deserve every bit of accolades and congratulations that you've earned and your band has earned.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. But again, a lot of the credit goes to the level of artistry and the players that are connected with this project. You know, I would love to say, gee, I'm wonderful, but my hat's off to everyone in this band, because the whole project has been a big effort on everyone's part. Obviously, there's not a huge budget when you're doing something like this, especially pre-getting signed. And it's taken a lot of hard work, but you know what, Jeremiah, ultimately, I think the music speaks for itself. And ultimately, that's what will get the deal. You know, I can sell and pitch and do everything I want to do and jump up and down and ride a pogo stick on TikTok. But the bottom line is the music has to stand up. And that's why when someone like you contacts me, it's beyond flattering. You know, that's what, for me, what it's all about. Just to have you say to me, Steve, I think this is a great song. Let's come on the show. You know, that speaks volumes to me.
I miss the days of payola. I really do.
Can I tell you what, Richard, let me tell you something. What I'm going through now, trying to get played, don't think it hasn't crossed my mind to send Stevie Van Zandt at Underground Garage on Sirius a new car or something. No, you know what? Listen, I get the whole thing about that. And ironically, I happen to be in the middle of a book right now. Tommy James and the Shondells. Remember Tommy James? I know you guys might be too young to remember who Tommy James was.
I don't remember.
The title of the book is The Music, the Mob, and Me. And the whole thing is about what went on with Roulette Records back in the late 60s and early 70s, and how the president of that label, Morris Levy, had everyone under his thumb. And that's how many of those songs became hits. And yeah, I get the legality of all of that. But you know what? It would be nice to be able to buy somebody a beer at a bar and say, hey man, can you just do me a favor and put this on the air, will you please?
just for 10 minutes, please.
Yeah, that's all, you know.
Well, there's a lot right there that I want to comment on. First, the book, I'm there. What a great title. I can't wait to read it.
You'll love it. You really will.
Yeah, Stephen, you got to come back on when that's released, and we'll go through the book and promote it properly.
Perfect.
But, yeah, I'm there on that one. As far as Payola, don't let Dr. D make you feel sorry for him, because what he's not saying is that he gets paid from me to put together the soundtrack.
There
so
he's
getting a little Payola.
It's a little bit Payola.
It's enough for a cheeseburger, maybe. But
there you go.
So yeah, don't feel too sorry for him. The other thing is, you're right, though. I mean, the relationship. I love kind of pulling back the curtain on how these things happen, and it happens through hard work. And Steve, I don't know. I think you sent me your song. I loved it. We started talking over email. I mean, it happens that way. And what's great, what I think is a little bit original, I'm proud of on this show, is that you come on the show and we're going to play your music, 6-7 songs throughout the show, and play as much as we can get away with.
Right.
With ASCAP fees. We really respect, honor, and love the musician. And the way I look at it is, it's my honor that you're sharing your work and your passion and all your band, everybody that's come together to create music that is so important in our world, in our daily lives, for our happiness and for our mental health and all the rest, and just to have fun.
Yeah.
What you guys do, we're just happy to be a vessel to put it out there on the airwaves for you. And so again, if you're listening, we're going to talk about the new EP. Steve's here to discuss the new EP, but from the Hollywood Allstars. We're going to play the music throughout the show, going to commercial break. We're going to talk a little bit about the music as we go to break. And Steve, if he'd like, can describe the song and who's playing on it. A lot of special guests, a lot of really great musicians that have joined the Hollywood Allstars. And so before, I kind of want you to describe the band and your players, if you don't mind here, because it is unique. It's a big band. It's a big sound. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you can't help but just get in a good mood when you're listening to you guys come together and do your thing. Before we get to having you describe the players in your band, Steve, you've got a great background here that I would be bummed if we didn't talk about a little bit, if we went on past that. You handpicked this supergroup, as you said, and you're a Grammy nominated songwriter, a producer, a keyboardist, and you were formerly with Epic and CBS Records as a recording artist. Can you tell me a little bit about your background, and for the listeners that may not know, to give us a little insight to how you came up in the business?
Sure, Jeremiah. You know what? I'll try to do the cliff notes, but it started I was born to a family. My dad was a symphonic musician. Trombone was his instrument, but he played in the Chicago Symphony, the Dallas Symphony. When we settled in Connecticut for a while, he was with the New Haven Symphony Orchestra. And at 4.5, he decided I was going to take piano lessons. And at 4.5, if you're a decent kid, which I think I was, you do what you're told. And, I grew up playing classical piano, and then all of a sudden there was that memorable night that the Beatles appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, which every musician in contemporary music will tell you that was a turning point for them, as it was for me. And, my dad, being the classical musician, said to me, all right, I'll tell you what, if you continue with your classical piano, I'll get you a jazz piano teacher. So now this little kid, here I am shooting myself in the foot. Now I have 2 piano lessons a week to prepare for. But, so it kind of backfired on me in a way. But, looking back on it, he always said to me, someday you're going to thank me. And I did thank him many, many, many times, and grew up in music. It's all I know. It's really all I know how to do.
What did your dad do?
He was a music teacher, elementary and high school music teacher, and supported us between that and playing in symphony orchestras. And, you know, it's funny. I remember as a little boy watching him go out, you know, in his tuxedo. And he used to tell me, you know what, Steve, one day you're going to be going out doing the gig and I'll be staying home. And boy, oh boy, how things, you know, truer words were never spoken, you know. But the other thing he said to me was, play the piano. You'll never have to carry any equipment. The piano players just walk in with their music. And if you look behind me, you'll know that one backfired too, because the roadies hate me. And, you know, it is what it is. I just have this thing. I believe there's nothing like the sound of a real Hammond organ. So it is what it is. But I mean, the sound of the band, Jeremiah, I would describe, if Blood, Sweat and Tears came out today, mixed with a little bit of Toto and a little bit, I don't know, it's like a rocking horn band, you know? And I try to write with that flavor in mind. I mean, as a songwriter, I, you know, don't want us to just come out and jam, which would be fun, but I think there's got to be substance to the song, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a big sound, and I love the horns. I love a jam band. I love, it's interesting, your piano and a keyboardist, why were horns so important?
Well, you know what, that's a very good question. And believe me, that's been asked a lot too. Everyone, you know, who knows me.
I wanted a new question.
No, it's a good one though. I like it. I like that question. Everyone who knows me said, gee, we bought you, you know, we're going to buy your CD, or they've heard some of the demos and we expected it to be like Hammond organ and piano in our face through the whole thing. I approached the CD as a producer, as if I were a record producer listening to another piano player. And as much as that I think the keyboards do have a place in each song, the horns are something that I love. And when I had the opportunity to work with the Uptown Horns, now you asked me a moment ago about the players in the band. This horn section, they did the Rolling Stones Steel Wheels tour. They've played with Jay Giles. They've played with everyone. And these four guys, Jeremiah, let me tell you, when they get together, it's like the sound of them is one person. They have been together, you know, since the 80s, and they're incredible. They actually wrote one of the songs on the EP, the one that, Trust Me, the one that Chevy sings. It's a really good song.
Love that one.
Yeah, no, it's a cool song, and she's amazing. And, you know, it's a great horn section.
Well, hey, we're going to go to break right now with The River. And anything you want? Yeah. So
you know what?
In fact, I put it in here twice at different different parts of the song. Different. It's just a wonderful song. And tell us about it a little bit, Steve, before we.
Well, again, we have this big rock and horn band, and you know, I love love songs. That's who I am at my core. Piano and a beautiful ballad. So I decided, well, we're going to do one of these. We're all locked down during COVID and things were horrible. And you're thinking about, you know what, we're all at one point, we're all going down. You know, you read about friends waking up, passing, and from Bob Saget and all these different people who unexpectedly just leave. And this was at the heart of this song. We're all going across the river, but you have to keep your hope. And, you know, we'll all get through. We're all going to be there.
Beautiful message. Love it. Okay. Steve Gaspár is my very special guest today on the show. The band is the Hollywood Allstars, and the new EP is Field of Grace, with a new single that we're going to play in its entirety at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. And they've also got a tour by the same name. If you're in Waterbury, Connecticut, anywhere around June 25th, make sure you show up on June 25th. It's a Saturday night at the Waterbury Palace Theater. The Hollywood Allstars are putting on a concert, and the concert will be supporting the RU Dent Breast Cancer Organization. So you can enjoy an unforgettable evening of live music, at the same time support a very worthwhile cause. The Hollywood Allstars look forward to seeing you at the Waterbury Palace on Saturday, June 25th, on the Field of Grace tour. There are more tour dates. You can check those out. Where can they check those out, Steve? Where can they get those tour dates?
Our Facebook page is very up to date. I'm very good about doing that. And my own personal Facebook page, I welcome anyone to send me a friend request. I'm very open on social media and welcome anyone reaching out. And I'm more than happy to keep everyone posted.
Yeah. Even Richard, You'd be Richard's friend?
Even Richard, although Richard and I are going to have to go grab a margarita later, I think.
I love it.
Yeah. At the El Carmon, it's you guys believe me, it's the coolest bar. It's almost like you're in a circus tent with all this great. Yeah, it's very, very cool.
I will even take the margarita from the bearded lady.
All right, one more time, the Palace Theater CT.org. That's where you can get your tickets for this benefit concert for RU Dense Breast Cancer Organization, and just a great night of music. You can find them, the Hollywood Allstars, on Instagram and Facebook at the Hollywood Allstars. We'll be right back.
All right, Ian.
Is it Deco or Deco Entertainment?
Deco. Yes,
okay.
It is. Yep.
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. It's Dr. D and me, and our very special guest today is Steve Gaspár. He is he's the founder of the Hollywood Allstars, music director. He's the pianist. He's a fan of his own band, that's for sure. And so are we. We came back with what a great title. What good is your body if you got no soul?
Ooh.
I love that title.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little commentary on all our plastic surgery and our nips and tucks, and giving everybody room to do and be what they want to be. But really, what's important, it's in here.
Yeah, so true. And another great commentary on the way the world is these days and what's really important. So, Steve, before we move on, you've got some really great people in the band. It's going to take us a whole segment just to talk about all of them, but I think we should give them their due. And I really want to explore the band and give our listeners kind of an insight into who makes up this amazing big sound that you guys got with the Hollywood Allstars. So before we do that, though, we talked about your early life and the piano and the love for the piano and the encouragement of your father. One day he would be sitting in the audience. Most of the time as a child, you were watching him play. Was there a proud moment that you can recall where Pops is now in the audience watching you? Was there a particular show or a moment that you could share?
Yeah, you know what, Jeremiah, that's a question no one's asked me before. Another great question. He was obviously very supportive of my career. My dad passed, about 11, 12 years ago. But at one point in time, remember I told you he was a classical musician. I was attending the University of Connecticut in Storrs, Connecticut as a music major. And they had an annual, it was called a concerto competition, where soloists would audition to perform at a big concerto concert with the University of Connecticut Symphony Orchestra. And I won the piano part of the competition and decided I was going to play Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. And keep in mind, this is like 32 pages of music, all committed to memory. And you have to not only remember 32 pages of music, but your entrances and exits and where the orchestra is playing. And long story short, I went out and I performed that piece. My dad drove up for the concert, went up to him afterward, and I could see the tears of pride in his eyes. And, just looked at me and hugged me and said, "You sounded great." That would be, to answer your question, that was a moment, I think, in my life where my dad and I really connected.
Beautiful. I think all kids want their dad to give them that nod of approval at some point, right? I mean,
sure.
Some of us get it, some of us don't, but that sounds like a beautiful moment. Very happy that
it was great.
Yeah, passing the torch. Well, Steve, you've had a lot of success as a recording artist. Do you want to just give us a few highlights, some of the things that you're very proud of?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the epic CBS recording artist portion of my career. When I was, again, 17 years old, 18 years old, we were very fortunate to meet a record producer whose name was Paul Lecca. Now, I'm sure the name probably doesn't ring a bell, but if I told you some of his work, he wrote the song, Na, 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 Hey, Hey. Na, Na, Hey, Hey was one of Paul's hits. Green Tambourine by the Lemon Pipers. Paul produced Stevie Wonder, Gloria Gaynor, a host of people. And I was dating a girl at the time, and the two of us went in and we were writing these cute little songs together, and we played them for Paul, who said to us, "I see the talent here. You're a great keyboard player. The girl has a wonderful voice. but there's not a hit song here. And he got me really involved at that point in my life in the art of songwriting, crafting a great song. Long story short, we wrote the song eventually that he felt was the single. He went in and got us signed to Columbia Records in New York. The record was released. Columbia had no boy-girl band at the time. And this was a point in time where the Carpenters were huge, Donnie and Marie Osmond were huge, the Captain and Tennille were huge, and Columbia didn't have one of them. We were to be that act on Columbia. And we got a deal. Long story short, I'll fast forward many years. The girl is now my wife, the mother of my son. The single came out and tanked, but the act stayed together. So that's the story of my time at Columbia Records, which was just the beginning of my songwriting career, really.
Do you think that things, as a musician, you've probably seen really, really bright days and really dark days and days that you thought, man, do I keep doing this? And can I do this? And this is all I know. This is what I do.
And Jeremiah, why am I doing this? Why am I torturing myself? Like, what are you, a glutton for punishment? It's like, you keep beating your head against the wall because it feels so good when you stop. It's sort of what a career in the music business is like. And you know what? Now that I'm older and the business has changed so much, it's sort of better now in a way for me, because it's not about the money anymore. Nobody's doing this for the money anymore, because you could release record. There is no money anymore in records. Sure, you tour and you make your living touring, but back in the day, people, I mean, if you remember some acts, the early days of Van Halen or whoever, those records would do 1 million units the first week they were released. A huge record today is lucky if it sells 100,000 pieces of physical product.
Right.
So it's changed so much,
So how do you make money? I mean, I'd love to mention, from what I've talked to so many bands over the years, the musicians, and they tell me that Bandcamp, where they put their music up, pays them the most, about 80% of what of the sale of the album or the EP.
Right.
Merchandise. I mean, that's the way that you can make money now, right? Selling your merchandise.
Yeah.
And touring. It's really not in the album, and it's not, that's not where it's at anymore. With Spotify paying half a cent every time your single is played, and all the different streaming platforms, it's really hard to make that add up. Even
it is
big name. So
the touring for sure. I'm on, if you're lucky enough to get in some kind of regular rotation on Sirius Radio, that's not bad. I mean, the performance royalties on radio are still there, but again, it's so diluted with product. I mean, and some of it's really good. I'm not saying that like I'm bitter about it. I mean, I listen to radio and Sirius all day long, and 9 out of the 10 things that I listen to, I've never even heard of these acts before, and they're really great. So, I don't know. I mean, touring and merch is for sure a big part of the financial puzzle, no question.
If I may throw in before we go to break, I like the way things are now rather than the way things were when I was a kid growing up listening to radio and then getting into radio in the 80s, because the record companies don't control what the radio stations are playing on the radio, because, as you just said, 60,000 new songs. What did you say? Every day are being put up?
Daily.
And I remember listening to certain of my favorite artists on the radio going, wow, I like that. But what else have they done? I want to hear something else, because you're playing this one to death. I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm bored with it. And so I tune out. And so I would go out and buy the albums. And I fell in love with the music on the rest of the album.
Yeah, definitely. Back in those days, Richard, those albums were like going to see a movie. Remember, the artwork and the oh my God, and the way the songs were arranged, the order told a story. They were beautiful artistic endeavors,
The way they smelled, I can still smell my favorite records. I mean, God, yes. It kind of hits you in all the senses, right? Yeah.
And then you had a guest on not long ago,
record, so I never tasted them.
But you had a guest on not long ago who actually did the artwork. I mean, these albums were art pieces.
Larry Vigon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, man, this is Steve Gaspár is our very special guest. Again, the band is the Hollywood Allstars. You're listening to them. You're about to listen to them right now. The new EP, pick it up, go pick it up. Are you on Bandcamp? Where would they buy where do you want them to buy the EP, Steve?
All right. The single Field of Grace is available on Bandcamp. I mean, we could talk a little more when we come back about the deal with Deco, but Deco's going to be doing a full-blown release this summer.
There you go.
It'll be available everywhere, and I'll clue you into all of that.
All right.
And I wanted to mention, we had Rich Ezra, a guest on not long ago. He ran the Music Business Registry.
Yeah, and Rich used to be at Arista Records, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Years ago,
He's got the A&R registry, the publisher's registry, the artist managers, the film and television music guide. We had him on, and he talked about what it takes to get a deal and how the labels will notice you. And now at this day and age, you got to take yourself, if you're an artist, 40%, almost 50% before they'll even notice you. You have to do a lot of that legwork. So I bring that up because I wanted to say again, congratulations for the Hollywood Allstars inked a 3-year record deal with Deco Entertainment, ADA and Warner Music Group. And when the EP comes out, definitely pick up a copy. Again, big congratulations. We're going to take you to break right now with, again, one of my favorite titles on your EP. What good is your body if you got no soul, Dr. D? And you can find the Hollywood Allstars at the Hollywood Allstars on Facebook and Instagram. Go follow them and like them right now, because you got a few minutes to jam with the music, and we'll be right back.
All right. And here we go. Next segment.
And
3.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1.
I like that, Doctor. And
I like that.
Here we go. We are back with
a really big show.
On a big show with a big band, and Steve Gaspár is at the top of it all. He is the brainchild. He's got the ear. He put together some of the best musicians to come up with this great band that you've been listening to this entire show. If you're just tuning in, don't fear. We got many more opportunities, and we do have a world premiere of, at least on our show. I'm going to pretend like it's a world premiere everywhere, Steve, with the Hollywood Allstars. It's Field of Grace. It's their new single, their tour, and their album, EP album, is titled the same thing. So it's easy to remember, Field of Grace. Welcome back, Steve. What is Field of Grace? What does that refer to?
Field of Grace is a very interesting song about a breakup, I suppose, a love gone wrong. And while it was good, it was great. It was all this beautiful, all these loving feelings of butterflies flying and the beautiful fields of flowers blowing in a breeze. And the question becomes, whatever happened to our Field of Grace? Where did that go? Where did it disappear to?
Where did those go?
Where Cleveland.
They go to Connecticut, and then
they go to Connecticut to die. Exactly.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, and I like the topic because it all starts out that way, doesn't it? It's
everything is
right.
Beautiful.
It's everything beautiful. The sky is brighter. Right. The sounds
is greener.
Sounds are sharper.
Yeah.
Food
and then
tastes
before
better.
you know it, the vultures are circling above.
Oh yeah.
Those damn vultures, man, they'll get you every time.
Justin Bones.
Time to go vulture hunting.
I like this. I like it. So that's coming up. Stay tuned. I'm really excited to play that here on the show, and thank you so much, Steve, for bringing it to us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Jeremiah. Thank you.
Yeah, well, don't go anywhere yet. I don't want to let you go yet. We need to talk about your band.
All right,
would you like me to mention their name, and then you give us?
Let's do that. That'll be a perfect exchange. Let's do it that way.
Well, let's start with your vocalist, Tom Bowes.
Tommy is spent 7 years as the front person for Tower of Power. Talk about the quintessential horn band, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tommy's also worked with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Tommy is probably one of the nicest human beings on the planet. See, I'm going to do a blanket statement. as good as everyone is, I'm really blessed that I'm with a bunch of really nice people. And I could go into each one of them about what wonderful people they are. But Tommy is a great, great guy. He's there for me. One of the most in-demand singers on both coasts. That's Tommy Bose. Wonderful guy.
I like this. He's in a group begun by the New York Yankee and jazz guitarist Bernie Williams. That's interesting.
Yes. Well, you know what? Are you a fan? I don't know in the LA if you're a Yankees fan, but Bernie actually sat in with our band. Bernie, is a guitarist as well. And Bernie came up one night and did a show with us. And it was really interesting the way I introduced him. Nobody had a clue he was going to be there. And of course, we're on the East Coast and a lot of Yankee fans here. And I went into my little spiel about how a band is like a family. And a band is a collection of like-minded people, like a team. I said, we're like a team, this band. And I said, I'm going to bring someone else out right now who also knows what it's like to be part of a team. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, from the New York Yankees, and the crowd erupted. Jeremiah was hysterical. Bernie Williams comes out with his guitar, and it was just a great show.
Oh, that's awesome. What is that also? I mean, talk about a field of grace where you've got an audience that just, they're with you. You guys are up there on stage giving them your all and the love, and they're giving it to you back. That's another unique moment that I think is really fun to think about, and how do, as human beings, that we do this, that we gather like this, and that we love a band like we do in a special moment like that. It's just a unique human experience, isn't it?
It's wonderful, and it's why we do what we do. I mean, the scary thing for us, we did a show last November. At that point, the EP, 4 of the 5 songs were done. We're still finishing the 5th one. And if you like, I can give TJS Radio a little exclusive before
we love that.
My interview. You guys deserve something from me. But anyway, 4 of the songs were done, and this is last November, and we're in a theater with I think there were 700 or 800 people, and no one had heard any of the original songs before. And this is a big litmus test. The River, a ballad, comes out, and no one knows the song, and it's why we do what we do. And we start playing that song, and Jeremiah, you could hear a pin drop. We get to the end of that song and the crowd goes nuts, and you get goosebumps. It's like, this is why we do what we do, to share this stuff with people, with an audience, you know?
It's got to be this incredible energy that's indescribable that just happens, and you know when it's happening, and it doesn't always happen, but when it does, and you're vibing like that with everybody, it's got to be just this neat
for
energy.
Sure.
Yeah. Definitely goosebumps for sure. Vocalist, Chevy Chevis.
Chevy, my favorite. I was looking for a contemporary Tina Turner. I said that you could listen, if you're going to stand in front of this band's a freight train, and we can't have some mealy little girl up there singing her little pretty little songs. You've got to get up there and you've got to command, you've got to drive this bus. And she, boy, oh boy, she came out in spades. And we did her vocal when we were recording Trust Me. And Andy Abel, the guitarist, is my co-producer. We'll get to Andy. He and I looked at each other, and we were our jaw just dropped. This girl comes in and sings that song. Again, it's an original song. She's got nothing to use as a barometer. She's got to make it her own. And she did in spades, for sure.
Yeah, one of my favorites. She's been a background vocalist, got such a great resume. Beyonce,
yes,
Chaka, Madonna, Arianna Grande, Adele, Dr. D, J Lo, and the list goes on.
I'm not allowed to talk about her.
Well, Dr. D, if you have a connection there, I'd love for Adele to record The River. So if there's any way you guys can make that happen, speaking of payola, I'll see
what I can do. Yes.
Well, Adele and Dr. D should be friends at this point, because we've had 460 shows. I think she's been on all 459.
Well, I will tell you before we go to break that, and it has nothing to do specifically with her. And so far, I haven't said her name. But the way that both you and Jeremiah, as well as myself, have been talking about music, it's like music in general, it absolutely, positively, it permeates our culture, regardless of what culture you wish to bring up, our civilization, our society, and I can't even imagine what our lives would be like without it.
Absolutely. Well said.
Well said. Sure. We got to take one more break, Dr. D.
So
we'll take that quick last break, that final break, and we'll come back and we're going to talk about the Uptown Horns and the Hollywood Allstars. And Dr. D, that was a beautiful way to go out here. But before we do, I've got to give out on Facebook and Instagram. It's updated constantly. You can get the most up-to-date information there about the Hollywood Allstars at the Hollywood Allstars. We'll be right back.
All right. Final segment in 3. We have about 5 minutes. 3, 2, 1.
Okay. We just came back. Dr. D, thank you for bringing us back to the Jeremiah show. We just came back with the Hollywood Allstars. Trust me. Another one hit after another here we're hearing. And by the way, Steve Gaspár is our special guest. He handpicked this supergroup. He's a Grammy nominated songwriter, a producer, and a keyboardist. He used to be with Epic and CBS. He was a recording artist. So he is on the Hammond organ and the piano. And we're talking about the band because the band is just so unique and made up of so many great musicians. You got to pinch yourself, I'm sure, Steve, daily and all the time when you realize who you're working with here. That you found and that they're part of your group. It's just amazing. The Hollywood Allstars. And a big part of this is the Uptown Horns. Tell us a little bit about the Uptown Horns.
Well, again, this is a legendary horn section on the East Coast here. I mean, back in the 80s, they were the go-to horn section for everyone from the Rolling Stones to the Geils Band, to all the shows. They've been on the Letterman show. If Paul Schaefer needed a horn section, he would have them come out as special guests. And we live really in close proximity to one another. And I ended up having coffee with Crispin, the sax player, probably a couple of years, 2.5, 3 years ago now, and presented this idea to him and said to him, am I nuts? Am I out of my mind? And I said, is it unrealistic for me to think that you guys would want to get involved at something like this, with something like this at this point in your career? And he said, no, you're not crazy. He goes, let's put it together and let's see what happens. And they've been amazing. Jeremiah, part of my whole thing with this band, and I said to you a little while ago about how nice everyone is, and I don't want to really gloss over it. To me, a band is a family. And I know this sounds corny in today's day and age. And, we do interviews like we're doing now and people record like this. But when you're backstage together, you want to be hanging around with people you could laugh with, you could have a drink with, you could high five and say, let's go out and make some noise. It's not necessarily, there's a lot of talented people. There are more great guitar players than I could shake a stick at. But Andy Abel, in addition to being a great guitar player, is a dear friend of mine. I mean, when we're not working, he'll text me and say, you want to go for a martini tonight? And we just sit and laugh and talk about life. And it's that kind of relationship, I think, that's at the heart of why this sounds the way it does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You can feel it. I don't think it's tacky at all. I think it's a really great way to, and if you can say it and you're genuine, it's a really great way to describe your band as a family. You can feel the authenticity. You can feel the connection. You can't fake that, right? As a band, no. when a band's working together, if one of you does not like the other, you're probably not going to make really great music together. And if you do, you won't be making it together very long, I would imagine.
Correct.
Bassist. Right. Let's talk about bassist Scott Spray.
Well, talking about somebody that I've known forever. I mean, do you remember that record I told you about when I was 17 years old? Well, Scott was on that, and that's how far back he and I go. And he went on to have a wonderful career. He's on over 800 records, played with Johnny and Edgar Winter, a wonderful bass player and another very dear friend of mine.
Oh, wow. Well, drummer Lee Finkelstein.
The original Blues Brothers band. Lee is another guy that really, he shapes up and comes up and does this show like it's everything he wants to do. And that's all I could ask of these people.
Okay. And then Eddie Torres.
Let's not forget Eddie, because he's our spiritual leader. Eddie is our percussionist and is the guy that will get everyone together with his mala beads and hold us all together and say, how lucky are we And it's true. We really are all very lucky.
Well, last but not least, when you mentioned him as on guitar, Andy Abel, your good friend. If you want to say anything else more about him.
I have to thank him. He co-produced this project. He's been my chief mixing and mastering engineer on the project. The reason it sounds like it does all goes to Andy Abel.
So that's the Hollywood Allstars. And I mean, the name might be an understatement. You've got all the All-Stars, the Hollywood All-Stars in this band. What can you guys are on tour, and what can someone expect from the tour? I mean, how would you best describe and sum it up? What it's like to experience a night with the Hollywood All-Stars?
You gotta want to dance, because this band just makes you get up and dance. Andy and I have this thing when we were making the record, and he turned to me, and we're co-producing, and he would look at me and go, "Do you feel like dancing?" And we knew we had a mix when he said, we would both say, "Yeah, I feel like dancing." So that's what to expect when you come see us.
Yeah, man, powerful. What's the next show you've got coming up here?
The Saturday, June 25th at the Waterbury Palace. And Jeremiah, as you mentioned, it's a really wonderful cause. Are You Dense is an organization that sponsors women with dense breasts that have difficulty getting diagnosed early with breast cancer. So when they contacted me, I thought there is no better night to do a show. And that's what that one will be about.
Yeah. So go out, listen to some great music, dance, and support the good cause. Again, you can get those tickets. I'll tell you where. You can get those tickets on Palace Theater CT for Connecticut.org. And that on Instagram and Facebook, follow at the Hollywood All-Stars for all the latest. Again, the album, 3-year record deal with Deco Entertainment. Congratulations. The EP will be out in its entirety soon, but right now you can go to Bandcamp or wherever you get your music and download and purchase Field of Grace. It's the new single. We're about to debut it right now, but not before I say goodbye to our very, very special guest, Steve Gaspár. It's been such a pleasure having you on. My friend is well worth a wait.
Yep. Jeremiah, Richard, thank you guys. I love you both. Thank you. I really appreciate the time.
Appreciate you, my friend, and your band, the Hollywood All-Stars. We quickly, I noticed on your Facebook page, we've got a mutual friend in Mark Platt in the radio India.
Oh my gosh, yes, Mark's been very generous with giving us a little airplay, and hopefully we could continue to do that. It's much appreciated, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I don't think I knew that before I just saw it this afternoon. So that's really cool.
I'd also add in all of our conversation here, what it really boils down to when it comes to acknowledgments is the Grammys now actually mean something more than they ever have before, because everybody, those 60,000 entries every day, they have a shot.
Right.
For the first time. And I think that's fabulous. Thank you for being with us, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Come back anytime, man. This is your home now. So
you got it.
Bring the family. Steve Gaspár was our very special guest. The band is the Hollywood All-Stars, and they are big, and you're about to hear it right now with the new EP is Field of Grace. The new single right now is Field of Grace. Enjoy and dance.
All right, we're clear on the audio.
Okay.
Did you want to get a radio drop?
Yeah, let's get a radio drop from Steve, and we'll let him go to Cinco de Mayo.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Just remember, it is not Mexican Independence Day. We did a whole thing on one of the other earlier shows. I was looking it up, and this is actually the Battle of Puebla Day. Okay.
Okay.
Puebla, which by the way was a 9 to 5 battle. It started early in the morning. It was over in the evening.
Hey, some time to go get some
tequila. There it is, right there.
There you go. Yeah. Listen, Jeremiah, thank you so much. And thank you for being patient with me. I appreciate it.
I just didn't want you to miss out on that because I knew I was booked for 3 weeks.
No, and you know what? Be careful what you wish for, because I would love to come back sometime. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Not kidding you. Anytime you want to drop anything, even if it's just for 5 minutes and you want to pop in and say something.
Okay.
Thank you.
The drop in, what we want you to do, introduce yourself. Promote your concert on the 25th of June, day before my 62nd birthday.
There you go.
Anything else you want to promote, and then tag it out with, and you're listening to the Jeremiah Show.
Perfect.
Your style. All right.
However you want to do it, though.
All right. I'll give you a countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to come out and check out the Hollywood Allstars, Saturday, June 25th at the Waterbury Palace Theater in Waterbury, Connecticut. And don't forget, you are listening to The Jeremiah Show. Thank you all very much. Love you.
Need one more thing from you. I need you to introduce yourself. I'll move it to the front. All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. Steve Gaspár from the Hollywood Allstars here.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, by the way,
Yes, sir.
Air, you can hear it out there. Mark has a radio station out in Connecticut, so we're on that station. So this will air next week. I'll let you know when.
Please do. Please do.
This weekend here in Santa Barbara on the different an FM and AM, and you'll also air in LA next week. So
perfect, Jeremiah. I know how jammed you are, but if you wouldn't mind, if you can email me some of that stuff, I'd love to push it around. Thank you.
Sure. I would love your help to promote it. So
I will. I will.
Have a great night.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.